What's up? Welcome back to my channel. As you know, I'm back with another consumer law video because that's literally what my channel is about, is consumer law and credit and how you can fix your credit and start exercising your consumer rights. So if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button for me so you don't miss any of my new videos. Oh, and disclaimer, this is not legal advice nor my attorney. And let's go ahead and get into today's video. The topic of today is late payments. There's a lot of things that I've learned when I started disputing late payments to now. I definitely wanted to share some tips with you guys and some do's and don'ts when it comes to disputing late payments and exercising your consumer rights as you're disputing the late payments. So let's get into it. When it comes to disputing late payments with consumer law, the code that most people use is 15 U.S. Code 1666B. That's in the Truth in Lending Act, timing of payments when there is a billing error. Let's go ahead and read 15 U.S. Code 1666B. Every time I Google any law, I always use the Cornell Law School website because law school website that mostly everybody in this community use. So all you got to do is just type it in and it'll pop up on Google and it'll look like this. A creditor may not treat a payment on a credit card account under an open-end consumer credit plan as late for any purpose, unless the creditor has adopted reasonable procedures designed to ensure that each periodic statement, including the information required by Section 1637B of this title, is mailed or delivered to the consumer not later than 21 days before the payment due date. What I took from that code was that since we fund everything with our credit card, and if you don't know any of these definitions, you definitely need to go back to my previous videos, specifically talk about some of the definitions in the Truth in Lending Act in my finance charge video. So if you haven't seen that yet, definitely go ahead and watch it because some of these definitions are in that video, but you need to always do your own due diligence and go and read these laws, read the definitions, read the whole entire Truth in Lending Act because it's definitely going to help you when exercising your rights. But as we know that our credit card is our SSN, every time we use our credit card, we're always making repeated transactions, a consumer credit transaction that's happening every single time. So when they're speaking about an open-end credit plan, they're talking about your credit card. If a creditor may not treat a payment on a credit card account under an open-end consumer credit plan as late for any purpose, that's what they're saying. You're making repeated transactions with your credit card, and your credit card is an open-end credit plan because the definition of open-end consumer credit plan is when there's repeated transactions, and that definition is in the Truth in Lending Act. If you don't know it, you need to go read it. Your credit card is an open-end credit plan, so they can never treat it as late for any purpose. Now, when you are exercising your rights, there are some things that the company may do that you need to be aware of. They may try to close your account, especially if you've already been late previous months before. They're more than likely going to try and close your account. You have to be specific about which accounts you want to even dispute. If it's a credit card that you actively are using and it helps you pay your bills, I don't recommend disputing that specific account yet using the law because that's how you avoid adverse action. You're not going to be able to pay your bills or do whatever you were doing with that card. In the administrative process, as long as you go through the administrative process all the way through, you'll be able to get the results that you want. Say if it was like a lower credit limit card that you don't use very often, or it's not like the main credit card that you use, I would recommend to start disputing that one first. Just get some practice in. If you tell the company that they have violated your rights, it doesn't mean that they're just going to automatically comply with what you tell them to do. So if you're already in this journey, you kind of know like, okay, I know that even though I put them on notice one time, I know that I might get my card closed, decrease my credit limit, whatever the case may be. Like, you have to understand that the things that happens when it comes to this type of stuff, it's just how it is. Sometimes do see those results the first time. Those that specifically may have been doing this for a while and know how to articulate themselves very well and stand their ground. Some of those people can do that, but that's not for everybody. Like whenever you're starting out, you have to realize that that company may take adverse action. So just be aware of that. But like I said, no matter if they take any adverse action against you, if you know your rights and know who you are, you can get whatever you desire out of the outcome from this company. So keep that in mind. We're using this code and learning all the other codes, like what the definition of a creditor, the congressional findings in the Truth in Lending Act, like there not being an adequate notice that was supposed to be clear and conspicuous to you. Like whenever you go into an agreement with a credit card company or a car company, that agreement is supposed to be clear to where you can understand it. And a lot of the times whenever you're signing these agreements or signing these contracts, it's not clear to you for you to understand it. So how do you really know what's going on? So you could definitely use that. There's so many gems in the congressional filings because you could tell the company that there has been unfair credit billing and credit card practices. Since we know the amount was already paid for, that's definitely unfair credit billing and credit card practices. Everything will start to click once you start studying more, or if you have been studying, it will click to you that everything's already been paid for. Why is there a late payment on my consumer report? Or why am I being charged a past due amount or anything of that nature? Like, you could send the company a letter stating these laws, the laws that you've been studying. Most of them have credit dispute addresses that you can send letters to. Be aware of the adverse action. Like if it's your first time, do a small card. If you have like multiple cards, do a small card and see what you get out of that, going through that whole entire process, see what you get at the end of the deal, and then you can go to the next bill. But just do one at a time and just see how it goes. Getting it wrong is when you don't know what you're talking about, you can't articulate it, you're just going off of templates, going off of what other people say, but you don't even know what they're talking about. They don't rush and just keep studying. Like study the Truth in Lending Act. That's one of the main ones. As far as learning unfair billing and unfair credit card practices, that's what the Truth in Lending Act speaks about. There needs to be truth in the companies lending out consumer credit transactions. But you send a letter to the company, you wait 30 days to see what they say. Sometimes they'll be like, this account is reporting accurately. And, pretty much we're not going to do anything about it. If they don't do anything about it, you just have to stand your ground and receive litigation. And disclaimer, no, this is not legal advice nor my attorney, but this is for educational purposes only and the processes that I've been doing. And just because you dispute something and you name some codes, it doesn't mean that they're going to respond in the way that you want them to. So that's why you need to know what you are doing. Heavy emphasis on what you are doing, because you don't want to dispute stuff and then get the account closed and then don't even know how to get it back open because you don't know your rights. If this is an active account that you use and that is like something that you can't live without, then don't dispute it yet. Dispute a different account. Whenever I was disputing, I didn't care if they closed my account. I don't care if y'all close my account, because I know my rights, and I know if you guys close my account, I have a upper hand on the situation because you are taking adverse action against me, and they're not supposed to take adverse action against a consumer. So if they do close your account, that's a violation of your rights. Just remember that. By law, once you dispute an account, which is 15 U.S.C. 1692G, once you dispute an account, they're not supposed to continue to collect on that account. But of course, they do continue to collect. If they report you as late or if they take adverse action on you and close your account, they're still violating your rights when they do that. So that's why I say it's important to know all of these laws: the Truth in Lending Act, the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, and the Fair Credit Reporting Act. These all tie in together to where you can use each one of them to your benefit. But the main thing is study before you do anything. Study before you write a letter. Everybody is like in a rush to get these late payments removed. You have to study the information first before you take any action. Much stuff that I know from March to now that I'm like, okay, if I dispute this account, I know exactly what to do, versus in March, I was like, okay, oh my gosh, like if I dispute this account, how do I respond to them and stuff? The only way you're gonna know how to respond is by reading the law. If you're not ready for litigation, if you're not ready to go to court, continue to study and gain that confidence, because it takes confidence. It takes confidence. I know like court is a scary thing, but it's definitely something that's doable, and people have been doing this and you can do it. I know you guys can do it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video about late payments and how you can dispute late payments and some of the do's and don'ts of late payments. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. 1,000 subscribers is my goal. So if you know anyone who has late payments on their credit report or has a bad credit report or anything like that, please send them this video because they need to learn this information. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.